This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. I'm Hal Mayer. Evangelist James Robison believes that God is speaking through the hurricanes and that Christians should pray and seek God's will. The crisis that Americans have faced and are facing will only be resolved if we come together like a family, he said. Robison, 73, is the co-founder of Life Outreach International and host of Life Today, and has advised government leaders since 1980. When you look at the aftermath of Harvey, which could prove to be one of the most disastrous natural disasters in American history, he said, of how God was speaking through the storm, when you look at the love, compassion, courage, personal sacrifice, and dedication, you're actually seeing an undeniable demonstration of what it looks like to love your neighbor with a Good Samaritan love. You're seeing the American family function like a healthy family. He noted that Irma, a Category 5 hurricane that had enormous destructive power, could well be the most devastating storm ever in terms of wind velocity. Irma's winds had reportedly reached speeds of 185 miles per hour. Blaming the mass media for stirring up hate, especially toward President Trump, Robison asks, when are the American people going to say enough is enough and come together and reason like a family? I believe that Trump could walk on water, raise the dead, heal the blind, heal the sick, and perform miracle after miracle, and he would still be hated in today's liberal media. He would be accused, if we have 150 million people praising him for what he did, because it was positive. The media would find two people to criticize him, and that would be the headlines. Robison reiterated that the only way we're going to survive the devastation of the hurricanes is by coming together. Robison also spoke of the potentially devastating disaster if North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un has his way and launches a thermonuclear attack on America or its allies. Nothing these hurricanes have unleashed on us will compare with the devastation and the horror of what happens, Robison said. And if that occurs, we will have to be one another's neighbor again in the midst of that crisis to try and climb out from under the ashes, he said. I'm telling you that God wants to give us His wisdom, His guidance, His direction regarding how to deal with this enemy. He implored Christians to pray. We could pray that He would have a miracle transformation, he added. But many times the government, the one in authority, has to bear the sword and punish evildoers and deal with it. Lives will undoubtedly be lost, he said, but what we must have in order to guard our freedom, safety, families, and the future is the divine direction that God freely offers, and we have never needed it more. Divine direction? What would that include? Guidance toward worship laws, which would be in direct conflict with the law of God? Evangelicals think in terms of getting America right with God. Robison is a popular evangelical Pentecostal preacher and is very influential. He visited the Pope at the invitation of Tony Palmer. How easy would it be for this kind of talk to go to the next level and call for the nation to require everyone to be in church on Sundays? And whom will they ultimately blame for the crisis? Men in responsible positions will not only ignore and despise the Sabbath themselves, but from the sacred desk will urge upon the people the observance of the first day of the week, pleading tradition and custom in behalf of this man-made institution. They will point to calamities on land and sea, to the storms of wind, the floods, the earthquakes, the destruction by fire as judgments indicating God's displeasure because Sunday is not sacredly observed. These calamities will increase more and more. One disaster will follow close upon the heels of another, and those who make void the law of God will point to the few who are keeping the Sabbath of the fourth commandment as the ones who are bringing wrath upon the world. This falsehood is Satan's device that he may ensnare the unwary. The Signs of the Times, January 17, 1884. This is Keep the Faith Ministry News. Thank you for watching.